here from Girls Gone Happy, and today I am super excited to do our first Halloween activity with you. Now, you might think of Halloween as a time for trick-or-treating and costumes, but Halloween is actually an ancient Celtic tradition that has its roots in this idea that this is the time of year when the line between our normal everyday world and the mystical other world of the supernatural gets really thin. And it's easier for us to connect with our intuition, connect with magic, connect with people and creatures who have passed, and it's easier for them to come into our world and make mischief. So that's why you have games, costumes, stories, and celebrations of the dead during Halloween, and it's why today we are going to be doing an activity that's going to help you connect with this idea of lifting the veil, taking the blinders off, and seeing that magical, mystical, supernatural world that's around us all the time, but that we're usually a little too busy and have blinders on and don't notice. So without further ado, let's get into it. A couple of things before we get started. If you'd like to know more about the ideas behind this activity, we've got a blog post linked in the description that has all of the directions as well as some more ideas about why we do this activity in the first place. If you'd like to do this activity with a partner, or if you'd like to do it with a group, we have guides that are linked below that have the full agenda for a 30-minute partner activity and a 60-minute group activity. And whoever you're doing it with, whether you're doing it by yourself, with a partner, or with a group, there's also a free printable that's linked below where you can write all of your answers to the questions that we're going to be doing in this activity today, and it stays nice and organized and it's all there for you. Okay. Now, let's get into it. In order to do this activity, you're going to need three things. The first is either a scarf or a blanket. The second thing is a clarity deck. So I'm going to be using my clarity deck here. If you don't have a clarity deck, don't worry, because I picked 2 cards for you, and I'll be showing them to you when we get later into that part of the activity. But if you have your own, keep it nearby. It's going to be perfect for you to use in a couple minutes. And the last thing is something to write with. Remember, there's a printable that you can download for free below that has everything organized with the questions that I'm going to be asking, or you could just use a piece of paper if that's easier. Okay, once you get your things together, come back and meet me here and we'll get started. So this activity has 2 parts. In the second part, we're going to be writing with our clarity deck. But in the first part, we're going to be doing something physical with our bodies, a somatic activity. What do I mean by that, and why are we doing it? A somatic activity is an exercise that moves your body in particular ways to help you access information that you might not consciously otherwise have at the top of your mind. It's a really great way for you to be able to access knowledge that you're holding in your body that you might be otherwise unaware of. A really simple way to think of it is if you were to imagine having a conversation with somebody that you really don't like, and you were to feel this part of your body and notice anything that comes up. And then imagine having a conversation with someone you love and see how your body might shift. Those are somatic noticings. Those are information that your body is telling you about how you feel about certain things, what you want, what you dislike. And so we're going to be doing an activity which might look a little bit silly, but is actually really profound in terms of what you can learn about how you, in particular, live with blinders or a veil on, and what it's like for you when you lift the veil and more clearly access your own intuition and magic, which Halloween invites us to do. All right, enough yakking. Let's get to the activity. All right, guys, grab your blanket or your scarf or your coat, whatever it is, get into a comfortable position, and I'm going to have you just kind of ground yourself, get into the mood and the space of practicing this activity that's going to help you to lift the veil. I'm going to do it with you, and I'm also going to put the question in writing so you can always pause the video and write your answer to it once you're in the first position and then in the second position. And I'll guide you through it because I'm going to do it with you. Okay? So take your scarf. We're going to pull it over our heads and go under the veil. Ready? Let's do it. we just went on a journey. So I hope that was interesting for you and that you got some insights that maybe you weren't expecting. Again, this is a way that we are embodying or enacting the lifting of the veil that Halloween represents. So obviously this is kind of a metaphor, a physical metaphor, but there's something about closing ourselves off and opening ourselves up that gives us some insight into ways that we are closing ourselves and opening ourselves, hiding our vision, opening our vision. There's something about physically doing that that helps us to access some of the things that are going on when we're just unconsciously doing those things all day, every day. So now that we've done the physical or somatic part of today's activity, we're going to be moving into the reflection piece where we're going to be doing a bit of writing with our Girls Gone Happy Clarity Deck. The first question that I'm going to be asking you to reflect on doesn't use a card yet. I just want to get some of your thoughts moving around this question of what did you notice about the difference inside and outside the veil? Was there anything that was particularly surprising to you, interesting, different about your experience inside and outside? Any thoughts or feelings that came up a lot? Any noticings that were of particular interest? Write those down on your printable, or if you didn't print it out, on your piece of paper, because that's going to be helping us as we move into our work with our 2 cards from the Clarity Deck. Okay, let's get into it. That we sell at Girls Gone Happy. Inside you'll find 2 kinds of cards, question cards and topic cards. The topic cards have different life categories on them. The question cards have different questions and artwork on them. Today, I picked 2 question cards for you in case you don't have your own Clarity Deck to use. But if you do have your own Clarity Deck, I would invite you to spread out your cards and close your eyes and pick 2 at random. All right, if you've got your printable, amazing. We're gonna move on to the next section. And if not, just make sure that you have some clean paper and a pencil and that you are ready to write. So first, I'm going to ask you a question. Then I'm gonna give you a minute to write your thoughts. Write whatever comes to mind. There's no right or wrong answer, just brain dump. Once a minute has passed, I'm going to read a card from the Clarity Deck. Then I'm going to give you another minute to continue writing and see how the question that I picked for you deepens your understanding and your reflection around this lifting of the veil question. Okay? If you have your own Clarity Deck, I'd invite you to use one of the cards that I told you to draw a moment ago with your eyes closed. It's always really, really cool to see what you pick at random. It is always exactly what you're supposed to be working with. I don't know how it works, but it's pretty magical and amazing, and it's always so cool to see what question finds you when you close your eyes and pull one. Okay? So, let's do it. First question. What does staying underneath the veil do for you? What does staying underneath the veil do for you? Take 1 minute. Write down whatever comes to mind. If you have your own Clarity Deck, take one of the cards that you just pulled, turn it over, read the question, and write your response to it on your paper. If you don't have your own Clarity Deck, here's the card that I chose for you. Shrinking. Where are you making yourself smaller than you naturally are? Where do you feel a need to shrink yourself down to fit? What is this here to teach you, and what do you want to do about it? Take 1 minute, write whatever comes to mind when you read this question. Next question. What would you have to let go in order to live with your veil lifted? What would you have to let go in order to live with your veil lifted? Take 1 minute, write whatever comes to mind. If you have your own Clarity Deck, take that other card that you pulled, turn it over, see what question has found you, and write your response to it on your paper. If you don't have your own Clarity Deck, here's the card that I picked for you. And secret, it's my favorite in the Clarity Deck. Inner Sight. You already know the answer. Say it out loud. Towards what within it do you have resistance? What do you want to do about this? Take 1 minute and write your answer. Whew, my friends! We went on a journey. We went under the veil, out of the veil. We processed the difference. And we thought about what life could be without the veil at all, and what is this veil doing for you? You've got a veil for some reason. It's serving a purpose and keeping you safe somehow. And sometimes that's really useful, and sometimes it can cloud our inner wisdom, it can clog our intuition, and it can keep us stuck. So now you have more information to make some informed choices. Do you want to stay inside the veil with whatever it is doing for you? There is no shame in that game. Or do you want to more consciously lift your veil, not just on Halloween, but frequently, and live with it up so that you can access your intuition and inner wisdom more? It's your choice. There's no right answer. One is not better than the other, and it will suit you at different points in your life to do A or B. But the important thing is that you are empowered to make those choices, and that you have tools to help you when you feel like you are stuck beneath a veil that just does not want to lift. So whether that's our clarity deck, or whether that's another tool that helps you to access your inner wisdom, your intuition, and see things more clearly and connect to the world that is around us all the time that maybe we just don't know and sense on an everyday basis, choice is yours, and I hope that you find things that work for you and serve your highest good. I would love to hear from you in the comments how this activity was for you, any interesting noticings or learnings that came up for you as you did the somatic part, the writing part, or anything else. And if you did this with a friend, please let me know how it goes. I love when we do these activities with friends. I think that those are the most powerful ways for us to do these kinds of work, and I'd love to hear about it. So I wish you well. I hope you have a great rest of your week, and I'll see you next week for more of our Halloween posts as we dig a little deeper. All right, one last thing. Don't forget to subscribe. Every week we have new videos that are here to support your highest good, with ways for you to connect with your intuition, have deep conversations with folks, and just answer life's big questions as they come up, and we are all in this together. So make sure to hit the subscribe button so you don't miss any. And for real now, I'll see you next week. Bye.